Welcome to the new generation of one of Oppo's most famous series, the Reno 16 series. This time, it consists of three phones: Reno 16F in the mid-range category, Reno 16 in the upper mid-range category, and Reno 16 Pro in the flagship killer category. And there's no Pro Max in this generation. Anyway, in today's video, I'll be trying out the regular Reno 16 and the Pro with you guys. And this time, the phones have gotten smaller. And honestly, I don't know why. And of course, there's no major change compared to the previous generation. But because I know that a lot of people are interested in the Reno series, I'm going to explain everything you need to know. As you're used to, hit that like button and let's get started with the review. We'll start with something new, and that's the Oppo Papil, a really nice little screen from Oppo. It's lightweight, and you can stick it on the back of the phone, on the case, or hang it from a keychain using the accessories that come with it. The colors on the screen here are really nice, and it has some cool emojis, and you can choose whatever background you want. The idea is that you can use it to control the phone's rear camera and see yourself while you're taking pictures through this little screen. You can also control the lenses, meaning I can switch to the 2x zoom lens or 3.5x, or switch to the ultra-wide lens and see myself and take either photos or videos. It's a nice addition for people who like taking pictures of themselves with the rear camera, so they can get higher quality than with the selfie camera. The screen brightness here is really good, and its battery lasts a long time. Its price is around $100 approximately. We'll get back to our phones now and take a look at the new design. On the white color, you'll find a 3D planet pattern on the back, meaning when you move the phone, you'll feel like the pattern is moving in front of you. I have the Reno 16 Pro with me in this 3D white color, and it's also available in a solid black color with no patterns at all. And I have the regular 16 in a light purple color with a pattern as well. It's also available in white with the 3D planet pattern, and there's also a solid dark purple color with no patterns at all. And I like that Oppo is keeping the really premium materials in the Reno series, a glass back and a metal frame. Their weight is reasonable at 190 grams, and they're 8.3 millimeters thick. The thing is, these phones have gotten really small and fit very comfortably in your hand. And they're water resistant with the highest IP ratings, IP68, IP69, and IP69K. You can put them in the water with your hand, but of course, make sure it's fresh water so you don't damage the phone's internal components. And a new button has been added to the frame of the phones called the Snap key. And from this button, you can control whatever shortcut you want when you press it. And let's take a look at the displays, which this time have gotten a little smaller. Both are 6.32-inch AMOLED 1.5K. The regular one is 120 Hz, and the Pro is 144 Hz, and both support HDR10+. The displays are completely flat. The bezels are slim, and both have exactly the same bezels. They've gotten a little slimmer than the previous generation if you pay attention. The thing is, the displays are now smaller than the previous generation, but in terms of color quality when watching videos, both displays are really good. And by the way, when you're setting up these phones, you'll find an option during the setup steps asking you how you want the display colors to look. And I always like to choose vivid, so the colors are more saturated and look better. Now let's move on to brightness under sunlight. Oppo announced that the brightness is increased a little, but when I tested these displays, I found that they don't increase the brightness under sunlight, and I didn't see a big difference compared to the previous generation when it comes to brightness. But they both have an excellent flicker rate that's easy on the eyes at 3,840 Hz. And consider both displays to be like sisters, even when it comes to the refresh rate. I know the Pro is higher at 144 Hz, but most of the time you'll find it running at 120 Hz because there's no app support for 144 Hz on it. But to be fair, scrolling is a little smoother on the Pro than on the regular one. Both displays have the same protection, and both phones come with a screen protector already installed. We're moving on to the first real difference between the two phones, which is performance. Reno 16 comes with the Snapdragon 7 Gen 4 processor, while the Reno 16 Pro comes with the Dimensity 8550 Super processor. Both, of course, support 5G networks, with UFS 3.1 storage and LPDDR5X RAM, and Oppo's ColorOS 16 interface based on Android 16, with a promise of 5 years of Android updates and 1 additional year of security updates. I'm not going to compare the two directly in a performance test, but let's start with the regular one, which unfortunately came with the same processor as the previous generation, and that's because there was no Qualcomm Snapdragon 7 Gen 5 released. That's because of the global crisis. But the performance of the processor is very good, with no problems at all in daily use. It's the same processor as the Reno 15, which a lot of people bought and tested, and this is also the same performance experience as the Vivo V70, Honor 600, and other phones in the same price range. There's only one phone that beats it in the performance test, and that's the Xiaomi 17T, because it came with a slightly more powerful processor than the one here. This phone's gaming experience is good. It runs PUBG at 90 frames per second, but I noticed that it gets a little hotter than the previous generation, but its cooling is very, very good. As for the Pro, which I'm going to talk about now, this phone's performance is good, and I have no problems with it, but it's a flagship killer coming in this category, and the processor is weaker than all the competing flagship killer phones, like Honor 600 Pro, Vivo X300 FE, and others. The phone's performance is good, but it's not the best performance in this price range, and it also has the same problem that the old Reno 15 Pro had. The phone heats up quickly and lowers its clock speeds a lot, and even when it lowers its clock speeds, it reaches the performance level of the regular Reno 16 once the extra heat kicks in. It runs PUBG at 120 frames per second, which is a good experience, but like I told you, the phone heats up quickly. The two phones have slightly bigger batteries, now at 6,700 milliamp hours, a decent battery and really good for their price categories. I liked the battery performance. Both are excellent and can last with you until the beginning of the second day without charging with average use. As for charging speed, you get the same charger inside the box of both phones, 80 watts. It fully charges the battery in about an hour. The regular one doesn't have wireless charging, and that's something I can let slide, but the Pro doesn't have wireless charging either, and that's considered a drawback because it's in the flagship killer category. Both have optical fingerprint sensors, not ultrasonic, but their performance is really good, and both have NFC and an IR sensor, and both have a real proximity sensor that turns the screen off when you put it to your ear during calls, without any problems. And as for networks, of course there's not a single issue. Cellular networks and Wi-Fi are excellent, and both support Wi-Fi 6. And let's wrap things up with the cameras, where there might be a difference between the two phones. The regular one has a 50-megapixel main camera with a Sony LYT600 sensor, while the Pro has a 200-megapixel camera with a larger Samsung HP5 sensor. Both have an f1.8 aperture with optical image stabilization. As for the telephoto lens, they're both 50-megapixel with an f2.8 aperture with a Samsung JN5 sensor and optical image stabilization as well. And both have the same 50-megapixel ultra-wide lens with an f2.0 aperture, and both have a 50-megapixel selfie camera with an f2.0 aperture. You have the famous portrait photography on the Reno at 1x, 2x, and 3.5x through the telephoto lens, and you can shoot up to 120x through the zoom lens. And video recording is now 4K at 60 frames per second on both phones with all the lenses, the main lens, the zoom lens, and even the ultra-wide lens. On the Pro and on the regular one, you can shoot 4K at 60 frames per second, and the selfie camera also shoots 4K at 60 frames per second with a wide angle. And now a new thing has been added to the camera software called Pop. When you go to it, it'll give you filters that will take you back to the past a little. I don't know what the present did to upset you guys, but you'll find a lot of filters in a lot of different styles. Let's now test the cameras on these two phones and see whether there's actually an improvement over the previous generation or not. Let's start with portrait photos, or taking pictures of a person. And for me, this is the most important thing in the camera experience. And I think the Reno 16 is excellent in its category, and the Reno 16 Pro is excellent in its category as well. There's a slight difference in processing, in favor of the Pro, of course. Even though both have the same zoom lens, you'll still find differences in processing. And that's because of the difference in the processor, and Oppo paying more attention to the Pro to give you a better photography experience. They have every right to, since it's more expensive. But the difference between them isn't major. For most people, the regular 16 will be more than enough for them when it comes to photography. The only thing is that the regular one takes a little longer to process the photos than the Pro, while the Pro is very fast at taking pictures and processing them. And that's definitely because it has a more powerful processor for photography. I'm showing you a lot of pictures of different people and in different shooting conditions so you can see and decide for yourself which one suits you. In general, I want to reassure you that the level of portrait photography on both phones is really excellent, and there's some nice skin processing going on. It doesn't hide the details or overemphasize them and increase the contrast. And by the way, night photography, or photography in low light conditions, is also good. You'll find that the phones hold up well and give you excellent photos. The ultra-wide photography is supposed to have improved on the regular one, but the Pro still clearly produces better ultra-wide photos. As for the zoom, even though both have the same zoom lens, you'll still find that the Pro produces stronger zoom photos with slightly better processing. And maybe this is the most obvious difference between the two phones when it comes to photography. I know these distant zoom photos don't matter to a lot of people. I just want to go into every detail for you so you know the real difference between them. And the selfie camera is wide and excellent on both phones. You're going to get a really good experience from both of them. There's also a difference in selfie processing, but here, it's not always the Pro that's better. Sometimes the regular one was better, and sometimes the Pro was better. But overall, the selfie camera is good on both phones. Now let's compare the Reno 16 with the Reno 15 and Vivo V70. Honestly, just like we said, there's almost no difference. The Reno 16 delivers pretty much the same experience as the Reno 15, without any major changes. And the V70 still delivers a different portrait look that focuses more on bringing out the details. And the Renos, as I told you, process the skin a little to make the skin look better.
And here's a comparison between the Reno 16 Pro, Vivo X300 FE, and Honor 600 Pro. I'm keeping things nice and easy for you here, but of course I need to know your opinion, and I'll leave you guys now with the video recording experience.
Recording video on the Reno phones in 4K at 60 frames per second on all the lenses. We've seen this before on the Reno 15 Pro, but this is the first time on the regular one, not the Pro, that we're getting 4K at 60 frames per second on all the lenses. This is the main lens, the one we're testing together right now, and it hasn't changed much from the previous generations. Now let's move on to the zoom lens, which also hasn't changed, with the same sensor, the same everything. But the new thing now is the ultra-wide lens on the regular one, and of course on the Pro it was already there from the previous generation. But on the regular one, we can now shoot 4K at 60 and 30 frames per second on the ultra-wide lens. Let's go back to the main lens again and continue recording. And I want to point something out while I'm recording right now under the sun. I can see that the screen brightness has increased, but in actual use, it's not the best. I think it needs an update, because there's much better brightness than this in the price categories of these two phones. The Renos are still impressive when it comes to the wide selfie lens that we use to take photos and videos with a wide angle in their price category. Of course, it shoots at 30 frames and 60 frames per second, 4K, and the quality is really good. But I'm under the sun right now. The sun is directly over my head, and the flies are going to turn me into a fried potato just so I can test the video recording quality for you. The two phones do have the same selfie camera, but the Pro might differ a little in video processing because of the difference in the processor.
Both phones can run 2 SIM cards, and you can't use a memory card. And of course, they both support eSIM. My final opinion. As we've seen, the phones have gotten even closer to each other this time. The regular and the Pro are very similar in a lot of things. The difference between them is in the processor, and because of the heating on the Pro, you're not really going to benefit from it that much. And there's a slight difference in the camera, and that's subjective from one person to another. Someone might find the cameras on the regular Reno 16 more than enough for them, so I don't know why you would leave the regular one and go buy the Pro. The regular Reno 16 is still a really good phone in the upper mid-range category. It doesn't have any major flaws or anything that could bother you during the experience. Even its brightness can be fixed with a software update, but it's not an upgrade at all compared to the old Reno 15. They're basically siblings. The only difference is that the new one has a slightly smaller display than the old one, and you get a slightly better ultra-wide lens for video recording that can reach 4K at 60 frames per second, and a slightly bigger battery. As for the Reno 16 Pro, as a phone, it's really good when it comes to the camera, and its battery is really good.
But when it comes to the processor and its power and its cooling, and the fact that it doesn't have wireless charging and doesn't support 8K video recording, these are shortcomings compared to the competing phones in the same price category. And that's it. I'm done. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't already, and leave me a comment and tell me, what do you think of the new Reno 16 series? And make sure you've subscribed to us if you're watching us for the first time on YouTube, and turned on the notification bell so you can see our phone reviews and comparisons as soon as they come out.